Ohio State is 9-0 thanks to a 34-10 win on the road at Purdue. That's Mick Walker on the other side of your screen. I am Spencer Holbrook. We were driving into West Lafayette for the Ohio State Purdue game, stumbled upon an Academy Sports and Outdoors. It's not our local one, but it's an Academy Sports and Outdoors store. The most festive gear of the year is back at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Don't miss the limited edition Magellan Outdoor Christmas Market collection only at Academy. Get exclusive 2025 gear and gifts for all your holiday parties, fun family photos, and Christmas morning traditions. Check out the entire collection from matching PJs to holiday print fishing shirts and dresses to exclusive new Mossy Oak Snowdrift camo styles and more. Shop in stores or at academy.com. Need it fast? Get same-day delivery powered by DoorDash. Let your holiday fun begin with Magellan Outdoor Christmas Market collection only at Academy and Academy Sports and Outdoors Academy.com. That's Mick again. I am Spencer again, and it was Ohio State 34, Purdue 10. Mick, we both got to rewatch. We both had a nice little Sunday at home. We both saw the snowfall in Central Ohio on Monday. How you feeling, man? And what's your big Monday takeaway from Ohio State Purdue?
My big Monday takeaway after watching the rewatch, doing the rewatch, checking everything out. Full transparency, I watched the first half. After that, I was kind of like, I know the story. I understand what's going to go on and go down. I I could go back to the one catch that I'm pretty sure gained like 9 yards and resulted in a first down largely because of a penalty. But the Jeremiah Smith catch where he's just kind of kept like laying on his back and caught it, even though he got yanked down. And then a couple of plays later, catching the one where he gets it to the one and then having the deep touchdown is obviously you appreciate having Carnell Tate here. You enjoy having him here if you're Ohio State fans. There will be time that comes without him. And whenever that time does come, I'm fascinated to see what it looks like where Ohio State has to go the entirely Jeremiah Smith offense to some layer, some extent of it, just because he is going to be the focal point of an offense next season.
I think we saw it last year in the Oregon game. Like, he had 6 catches, 160 some yards and and 2 touchdowns in the first half of the Oregon game. They built the entire plane out of getting him open when he was in the slot, and he had the deep post, and Will Howard found him when he had the little dump down route that he turned into a 45-yard touchdown on the first drive of the game. Like, we've seen that, and I know that it wasn't an oops all Jeremiah offense last year in that game, but it probably could have been. And now he's got Carnell Tate, and so I do understand, like, yeah, it's gonna be Jeremiah as the focal point, but he did all of that on Saturday without Carnell Tate. And when Purdue realized that Jeremiah Smith was going to be the only one of those two playing, they keyed in on him even more, and he still made them pay. And he still had a career best 10 catches. He still had 137 yards, not a career best, but a really nice day, and he still had a touchdown. So I was super impressed with his performance. I actually thought that it was his best performance of the year just because all eyes were on him, all attention was on him, and he still went out and dominated.
Yeah, and there's just not much left to say about him. I was impressed by Max Clear. I thought he did some good things. Brandon Ennis did some good things. Mylan Graham had a catch there in the second half after struggling out the gate. Bryson Rogers had a nice first down catch on the sideline in the first half, and he kind of kept it rolling in the second half as well. Like, we got to see a little of these guys where the fascinating part about Brian Hartline recruiting is we get to talk about all these wide receivers when they're getting recruited, but then when it actually comes time to seeing them, it takes them like 2 or 3 years to actually get on the field because there's Jeremiah Smiths and Carnell Tates and Brandon Ennis is kind of blocking the runway for him to take off. So to actually see it kind of get unleashed there with Carnell Tate out and then kind of experimenting more on offense, I enjoyed it on the rewatch just because you get to kind of confirm some priors or learn something about some players that we haven't seen a lot of so far.
Yeah, and then the run game. I mean, we'll spin it forward with the run game. Like, I wrote about it on Monday at lettermenrow.com. It was obvious in the rewatch, like, a huge step in the right direction for this run game. Was it a great step in the right direction for the right side of the offensive line? Probably not. I thought Ian Moore played well given his first career start on the road, and I don't care if it was a quiet environment for him. It's still the first career start coming on the road. Like, that's something extra. Philip Daniels being out. Tegra Shabola did not play well. I mean, we can just kind of agree on that. It was just not a good day for him at all. I thought Gabe Van Sickle showed some promise. It's his first real action that's not just in garbage time. So I thought that was notable. Ryan Day talked a little bit after the game about wanting to see more from Gabe and getting him on the field a little bit more. If Daniels can't go and if Padilla is still out on Saturday night against UCLA, I think we will probably see more Gabe Van Sickle. especially after the day that Tegra had. So, that's the offensive line of it all. But where I thought they took the biggest step forward was, hey, we're going to run behind this offensive line, and if the holes aren't there, you still have to make something out of it. And man, Bo Jackson and Isaiah West both were just making something out of it in this run game. Bo was very, very good for the second straight week when it came to breaking tackles. Isaiah was very good when it came to getting some extra yards after contact. Last week we ran through the numbers on the yards after contact in one of our videos. It might have been on the Monday video. We won't go through all of the numbers on this because we might do that over at lettermenrow.com at one point this week. But I was just extremely impressed with the way that they ran. The Bo Jackson run, where a guy met him in the hole and he got hit really hard, bounced off of him, spins out of another tackle, and gets a first down on third down inside the red zone. That's the difference between kicking a field goal and making it 27-3 and scoring a touchdown and making it 31-3. I think is how that went. Maybe that's not the exact cadence, but I think they ended up kicking. They did end up getting a touchdown on that drive. And I thought that was important because, again, you're going from 3 to 7. Like, that's a 4-point play there from Bo Jackson just on his own. And Ryan Day said it was Quinshawn-like. He said it reminded him of Quinshawn. Well, that's really high praise for a freshman who's only played in 8 career games.
And the fascinating thing from like our perspective, my perspective, or like Jeremy Birmingham's perspective, we're on the field a lot for these games, so we're taking photos. So it takes time to kind of do the rewatch, or even when you go back through the photos and looking through all of them, there's a lot of sequences where it's Isaiah West and Bo Jackson, and we have photos of them actually in like a running posture where they had some time to get 5 to 10 yards down the field and actually open up their gait and get sprinting a little bit, which for the most large part of the season hasn't really been the case. It's kind of been like, oh, maybe they'll squeak through a little hole here when there's like with the offensive line blocked up a little bit, or they'll break a tackle. But for the most part, they haven't had lanes or opportunities to really open up the gate, and they did on Saturday. And both of those guys really made Purdue pay with those.
Yeah. So I just thought the offense, I thought there was some real promise in the run game. I liked it. I even like what James Peoples did. Look, is he getting all of the yards? No. Is he running really hard? And I think that's going to continue to translate. Yes. And I thought the Penn State game at the end of that one, where I asked Ryan Day about that on Tuesday, this last Tuesday, I thought it was another good step for him, even though the stat line isn't going to be, blowing you away. I think he had 4 carries for 26 yards, or 8 carries for 26 yards, the long of 7. So he's averaging 3 yards a pop, but I think he's running really hard. Again, I think there's good things to come for him. I'm in the camp. I'm glad Ohio State has not given up on him, because I think that he can still be a great player. So I'm enjoying watching Ohio State kind of work through some growing pains with him, letting him kind of figure it out on the field. I don't know if the vision is really there, what he needs right now behind this edition of the Ohio State offensive line, but I think he's getting some tough yards when he needs to. He's obviously not as good vision-wise or anything like that as Bo or Isaiah, and that was apparent on the first play of the game when Bo Jackson makes a cut and it makes everybody miss and goes 70 yards, and the Buckeyes get a touchdown that gets called back. But I liked what I saw from James Peoples too. So, and even CJ Donaldson, Mick, like, he was hit at the 2-yard line on one of those runs and had to get to the end zone and kept turning his feet and getting those tough yards and found his way in there. I'm just a big fan of what they did in the run game on Saturday. And, was it pretty? No, I don't know if this run game is ever going to be pretty, but you had 189 rushing yards on the day, and 15 of those come off the board because of sacks. But 189 rushing yards on the road is pretty good.
Yeah, and that, like, all 4 of these guys have different little like roles in this offense, and you saw it a little bit, like you mentioned, C.J. Donaldson. He was really good in the goal line situations. He had a good block on Lincoln Keenholz's touchdown run as well. Mm-hmm. And then James Peoples has kind of been this guy that they've dubbed like the receiving back. And truthfully, if Taker Shabola makes a block, or at least gets good contact on a linebacker, he might have had a touchdown there in that second half, because they had that screen blocked up really well. You just needed to actually execute it. They didn't, and so it resulted in a loss or an incomplete pass. But there was an opportunity there for a big play. If James Peoples did his part, they needed other people to kind of hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah, that was a common theme. The right guard position was not good on Saturday. We're just being honest. Like, that's what we're here to do. That was a negative 3-yard pass to James Peoples because of a missed block. Julian saying probably could have had 320 yards and 2 touchdowns had that gone the other way, but it didn't. So, Mick, before we get to the second part of this show and something that I really want to touch on because it's been bothering me, uh, the other thing that's been bothering me has been like my neck, my face. I'm getting a little itchy. My face is a little dry. So where I turn is the Dollar Shave Club. When you rep your team, don't just stop the jersey. Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles combine grooming with glory, letting students, grads, and fans show their school spirit and style. From the sink to the stadium, shave with the school pride. Visit dollarshaveclub.com to grab your college handle today. That makes like a perfect Christmas gift for somebody. So we're in the holiday season, Mick. There's snow on the ground. I don't know what to tell you, man. The Michigan game's only a couple weeks away. Go grab your collegiate handle today. You know, maybe my dad's going to get one from Dollar Shave Club, the collegiate Ohio State handle. I hope my dad's not watching because then he'll know, but I hope dad is watching because that means he supports his son. So we'll see what happens. But the Dollar Shave Club, go there right now, dollarshaveclub.com. Get your collegiate handle today. There's a really nice Ohio State razor handle to be had if you so choose. Mick, you ready to hear for something that's really bothering me this week?
You said before the show you've got a take you want to get off or a comment you would like to make. So time to cede the floor to you and let you kind of go off here.
Okay, so in my old age, I'm trying to be a kinder, more understanding human being. So I'm fully aware and I'm fully understanding that it is difficult for when Ohio State goes on the road and plays a 2-7 Purdue team that's really bad. There's not a lot of reason, unless they're in a close game, for the national media folk and their ilk of that group of people. It's easy for them to just look at the score every 25, 30 minutes, make sure the Buckeyes are taking care of business, and go on their way. I get it. I truly 100% get it. I used to get worked up about this. I don't as much anymore. I understand. The thing that's really bothering me is Ohio State is playing at such a pace right now where the first quarters are slow. They just are. It's a feeling out period, and then they attack like a viper. That's why Ohio State had 24 points in the second quarter of this game. It's why Ohio State's not going to apologize for the way it plays. And the Buckeyes had 5 plays to open the game. Purdue had 6. Then Purdue goes on a really long field goal drive. And then Ohio State is in the middle of a touchdown drive at the end of the first quarter. And on the first play of the second quarter, the Buckeyes score a touchdown, okay? Flash forward to yesterday on Sunday and on Monday, and all I see in every column is like, well, Ohio State had a slow start, but they beat Purdue. Ohio State punted on its first drive, Mick. It scored 24 points in the second quarter. The drive chart went punt, touchdown, 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 field goal, interception on a fluke play from Julian Sand that's never going to happen again, field goal, touchdown. It punted once. It was on the first drive of the game. If you want to call that a slow start, I guess that's fine. This team did not start slowly. The first quarter of if it's an NFL game and the underdog is up 3-0 at the end of the first quarter and it's 24-3 the favorite at halftime. No one in the world calls that a slow start. Everyone just says, "Wow, they really dominated the first half. It's 24-3 at halftime." It's so lazy. It's so, and it does irritate me because, like, this team did not start slowly. It punted on the first drive. God forbid a man's not allowed to punt the football anymore. I just think that we've got to recalibrate how we think about this stuff. And it kind of goes hand in hand, Mick, with like, I saw a talking point about how the Heisman Trophy winners aren't as good as they used to be because Joe Burrow and some of those guys had like 50 touchdowns and Johnny Manziel, and now the Heisman favorites have like 30. The clock rules have made everything change. We have to adjust with it. So a slow start doesn't mean what it used to. If the Buckeyes were down 3-0 with 2 minutes to go in the first half, like they were against Washington, I fully call the Washington game a slow start. What Ohio State did against Purdue was not a slow start. They punted on the first drive and then kicked out of Purdue. Does that make sense?
Makes a ton of sense.
So I don't know. Just something that I had on the noggin.
I think that's a fair take to get off. Obviously, I think people are just judging the first quarter there. But and again, I mean, you have a touchdown on the first play, or you have a touchdown with Bo Jackson. If they're not for a block in the side / back, whatever got called on Jeremiah, I guess you have to call it. But that,
Yeah.
I mean, that is a that is a call that could probably also be not called in a lot of situations as well. There's been bigger missed calls in Ohio State games and in college football this season. So overall, that's not all too crazy. I also imagine just because of how well the defense plays for Ohio State, for people to see that they've given up 3 points to Purdue, probably made them feel like it was also a slow start defensively. And I don't think that was much of the case either.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could actually make a case that it was a slower start defensively because on the second drive, Purdue gets a 12-play, 70-yard field goal drive. So, I mean, like, I thought it was funny, though, Mick. Purdue had a 12-play, 70-yard field goal drive and a 10-play, 75-yard touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. In between that was drives of 4 plays, 2 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, and 3 plays. Ohio State absolutely decimated Purdue. Purdue had no hope in this game. It was completely hopeless. And look, they intercepted Julian Sam in the end zone, and there was a good celebration for it. Do you know what happened right after that? A punt.
There you go.
A punt. A 5-play, 20-yard punt drive. So, like, the Buckeyes on sudden change, when they thought they were going to get yet another touchdown, sudden change puts the defense back out on the field. Purdue's got a little bit of life, down 24-3, and Ohio State's just like, yeah, I don't think so. And they go down and they get the ball back, and the offense punches it in. So, like, I was super impressed with the effort. I really liked what I saw from Ohio State. Oddly enough, I thought this was a really good step forward for the Buckeyes. I really wish that they wouldn't have allowed that last-minute touchdown drive because 34-3 sounds a heck of a lot better than 34-10. But c'est la vie. It is what it is, Mick. The second-team defense I didn't think played extremely well on that last drive. It's hard to go out there in a chillier game and give your all when you know that the game's already wrapped up, though. So I guess I understand that. I will say in our closing segment here, I thought Jason Moore was really good on that when he was in there. And, like, I just think he flashed a little bit. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't think he's going to play, like, a big role against Michigan or Indiana in the Big Ten championship game if they get there or in the college football playoff. But if he has another good game against UCLA and they start to rotate him in a little more and he plays well, if they get him on the field for 15, 20 snaps against Rutgers, like, that's a guy who it's year 3, it's late year 3. If it starts to click, I mean, we can't just completely rule it out. And I thought that he was pretty good when he was in there against Purdue there at the end of the game.
Yeah, I thought another guy that I thought he didn't play. He played at the end of the game, but he also played early. Is Riley Pettijohn kind of came on, earned more snaps, and looked good there in the little bit of the role he did. Like that again, it goes back to we talked about the post game video. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. This is a lot of experimentation. Like we want to see him more. You want to see him more at right tackle. You want to see Gavin Van Sickle. You want to see Ethan Onyonwu would get more reps. I thought Bennett Christian had some moments. He also had some bad moments. Same thing with Nate Roberts. And then you have all these guys on defense. You mentioned Jason Moore, Riley Pettijohn, Aaron Scott kind of got some reps in. Leroy Roker's going to have a big teachable moment on that touchdown. He just didn't play that very well. So there's a lot of learning experiences, and they're going to probably have more of these coming up with the UCLA game and the Rutgers game to different layers and to different extents. But still, it'll be fascinating as kind of how this transpires and how you balance hey, we need to figure out what we got in this freshman class compared to what we have going forward when you get ready for the Michigan game.
A lot of experimentation in the Purdue game. 34-10 was the final. They've got 2 more, UCLA and Rutgers. Don't expect anything different from those games. I think the Buckeyes are going to use those as opportunities to get guys some reps, see what different lineups look like, see what guys can do before they head up to Ann Arbor for the rivalry game. We are getting closer and closer to that, and we will probably break that down in some way this week at LettermenRow.com. Go over there right now, $1 for your first 7 days. Then we'll talk about pricing after that. For Mick Walker, on the other side of your screen, I am just Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys over at LettermenRow.com. We'll see you guys back here for another video soon, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center for Ryan Day's press conference, where we'll talk about Ohio State and UCLA.